Jag förstår inte vad det går.
Welcome to the archipelago and a particularly productive and exciting weekend in the northern Stockholm archipelago in late summer 2024. What's going on here is actually kayak leader training through the Swedish Outdoor Association, Friluftsfrämjandet, and a group of 11, in this case, paddlers, kayakers with a lot of experience between them, and 2 instructors with a lot more experience between them, have gathered to continue their kayak leader training in the northern archipelago. As I said, we are here at Boda Brygga, and it's a sunny day. It's actually going to be a fantastic warm day and a really enjoyable paddling day as such because of the fantastic weather. But what's going on will require a lot of focus from the participants, and especially those who are taking the group out for different stretches of the paddle. It's a 2-day expedition, and this is the part of the training that continues an earlier kayak leader training weekend in April, which preceded this and which I've shown before in a previous video. On that weekend, the first course weekend paddling, we actually managed to hit the last part of winter in April. We had freezing temperatures at night and snow heading out to the starting location. But on this day, in late August, there's definitely no risk of snow. In fact, we have a warm day, it's going to get sunnier than this, and we had a fantastically enjoyable paddle, just the pure experience of being out in the archipelago. But of course, we're here for a reason. We're here to learn leadership, paddling technique, safety, trip organization, navigation, and much more as we work to continue our kayak leader training. And our instructors, Karin and Øystein, have taken us out to this archipelago, which proved to be great. Before we continue, I'll just mention this area. This beach in front of us actually is a location that was familiar to 2 of us, myself and Jon, because back in the fall we had a very different experience in this area. As you can see, much more stormy weather, and we were in fact in this part of the archipelago as part of a search and rescue exercise. A lot more dramatic on that day with the Swedish Sea Rescue Society, Sjöräddningssällskapet, and the Swedish Outdoor Association, Friluftsfrämjandet. And I'll show more on that in a different video at a later time. But that was quite a dramatic rescue exercise and a great learning opportunity where we saw firsthand what search and rescue operations look like. And for the Swedish Sea Rescue Society, the practice of taking care of kayakers was really useful. So anyway, here we are back in the archipelago again. Very enjoyable, very calm, but for a pair for each part of the journey here of kayak leaders in training. This is more focused than for the rest of us, because one pair of leaders all the time will be independently guiding the group just as they would a real group of paddlers through the archipelago from a designated point A to a point B, and they're responsible for everything during the trip, just as they would in real life. So this is a good practice opportunity, and well, issues arise. Like in this case, one of the paddlers in the group has lost a kayak hatch. It seems to have fallen in the water. And the kayak leader needs to figure out what to do, how to solve this, because obviously you can't go paddling on seawater with an open hatch. So in this case, I believe the solution was using an inflated pedal float and closing the hatch that way. There are other ways to do it, rope and plastic bags and many solutions. But anyway, just one of the examples of the incidents that the instructors are putting in here and there. And the kayak leaders that are in charge, one in the front and one in the back, never know when those incidents are going to occur, just of course as real life. So this is all really great practice. For the rest of us that just get to follow along, it's really a great learning opportunity as well, because of course we're still checking our maps and following along to make sure we're keeping up with the navigation, and we're also evaluating and learning from the challenges that the leaders face. And every now and then we stop for evaluation, discussion, and learning points from each part of the journey. And as such, the further the course goes on, the more we learn, basically. Here we've stopped for lunch. The meals are always a great part. We're enjoying the outdoors after all. And here we're on the way again. So I thought in this video I will just comment more generally on what we do during a course like this. In this case it's about paddling techniques. A lot of these sprinkled through the training. So we have the incidents, and there's different areas of paddling technique which needs to be demonstrated by the kayak leaders in training. And then we have the navigation itself, and in this case we're heading to the spot that will be our overnight stay, actually our campsite. And before that we're going to stop and practice some rescues. Being able to get back in your kayak is always key, and that's something that you should practice as much as possible yourself. Being able to do that alone, which is much more difficult, and being able to do that assisted with another paddler helping you. So an assisted rescue. And this is something that we're about to do here. At this point, we're just stopping, changing into some gear. It's still fairly warm in the water, but we're still getting into dry suits or wetsuits. I'm actually using a wetsuit for the first time in a long time there. So practicing how to get back into your kayak alone and assisted by someone else is really something that you should never stop practicing. It's about muscle memory, it's about technique, and as we were about to find out here, it's a lot more complicated when you do that in a full loaded kayak, packed for an expedition, where you have a lot of gear and a heavy kayak. It's simply not as easy, and typically when you paddle and practice, you're often doing that with an empty kayak, which means it's a lot easier actually to get water out of the kayak, for example. It's a lot heavier when you have a fully loaded kayak. So that's something to consider. If you haven't practiced re-entry lately, well, something to think about, something to do, both in cold water conditions, if you paddle in cold water conditions, and in warm water conditions. It can be fun, it's a great thing to do, and it's something that will keep you a lot safer on the water, knowing that you know how to get back into your kayak. But anyway, here we have some photos that were taken by instructors and participants, and these are some moments from this really exciting weekend. What I've decided to do is to show both the rescue exercises a bit that I talked about, and our campsite and camping solutions there in the next video clip, the next video that will follow this one. In this video, I've just basically commented on what a kayak leader training might look like in the Swedish Outdoor Association or in many other organizations. There are other organizations in Sweden and in other countries, of course, and you would expect that leader training at this level would look something like this. You learn again navigation, safety, group management, trip organization, planning, etc., etc. There's a lot that goes into this, and if you've ever been a participant in an organized tour, a trip, with something like, for example, the Swedish Outdoor Association, you might not really realize or have thought about how much training and planning actually goes into an activity like that. There's a whole safety apparatus behind it. There's a safety plan, there's a trip plan, and the whole organization of this is actually a bit more complex than one might expect. I'll talk about that more in future videos, and definitely I'll also show the third weekend we had, which was the most extensive one in terms of complexity and difficulty, perhaps. So this is a first glance at this weekend. More to come in the next video. Thank you for watching this far, and if you were one of the instructors or participants, thank you very much for a great weekend. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe in order to stay updated on new videos and help others find information on this channel. Happy paddles!